and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. This is the Moog Werkstatt. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a Moog synthesizer that was recently discontinued, unfortunately. I got mine secondhand, that you assemble yourself. The assembly process is fairly quick, although there are a few caveats that you want to watch out for that over the course of building this thing from scratch in this video, I will blindly stumble into. And then I'm going to connect this to my MPC-1 to actually get some more fine control over it and some more modulation options and try to get some sounds out of this thing. All that being said, let's jump into it. All right, to start things off, here's the box. And just for reference, there's side, Werkstatt 01, CV expander. Let's pop this thing open. So there's a bit for a warranty. And here is the faceplate. Preset smooth bass. Oh, this is just like how to recreate that patch. Let me get this little box out of this big box. Look at all the little designs in here. All the little circuitry stuff, that's cool. That's a nice little touch. And this looks like the back plate. Now for the little box, adorable little patch cables. These cables here. Assembly instructions, you better bet we'll be using those. How to register, and then very carefully protected other components, which I'll pop open in a second. And a bent sticker. So here's our parts list. Printed circuit board, PCB, bottom chassis, top panel, power adapter, and then all the hardware stuff. Oh, this is map style. All right. Attach the 4 rubber feet by pushing them into the holes of the bottom chassis and gently twisting. I believe that is this dude. And yes, it's metal. This looks like the feet are in here actually. Bunch of little screws in here as well. Just all sorts of little bits and bobs. Okay, so this bit in here. Part 2, installing the electronics, the main attraction. Carefully remove the printed circuit board from the protective sleeve. Take the black nylon washer and slide it onto the audio output jack. Where is my PCB? So it's in its little protective baggie here. There's more bubble wrap. Gotta say, they've really gone all out protecting this thing. As they should. Smells like new machine. I always love these things just visually. There's a lot of stuff I'm not entirely sure like what's going on, but these are just really neat. So the little knobs here. Here's the back. So among other things, just trying to analyze this. Here are the keyboard bits. Here's the envelope generator stuff. Voltage control filter, LFO. So this is definitely more assembly than like complete DIY electronics, which I knew going in. It still like bums me out a little bit that there's not like more I could be doing, but also like this is a monolithic thing, so I get it. I don't really want to be soldering yet. I'll probably get there eventually. We'll see. Regardless, what were we doing right now? We were getting the black nylon washer and sliding it onto the audio output jack. So here is the black nylon washer. And then after that, next, place the printed circuit board into the bottom chassis. Slide the audio jack through the jack hole and make sure the 5 mounting hole in the printed circuit board line up with the standoffs in the bottom chassis. Okay, so that is this here, these silver bits into these pointy bits. Come on, Buckaroo. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I put this on too soon. Took a DNA test and it turns out I'm 100% big dumb. So now, that should just go right through. Put the silver bits on the pointy bits. And nothing slots into place yet because we're going to screw that in there. Okay. This is where I bring back my screwdriver from building the beatbox. I'll link that video at the end of this one. So for this first bit, we're just going to loosely attach it and then we'll screw it in once we've confirmed that everything's all good to go. And remember, this is an analog synth that we're assembling here. We're not actually creating the electronics that do the analog bit, but we are putting it together, which is still neat. It's giving me like a weird amount of resistance. Should I be worried about that? If you've built one of these yourself, you're probably screaming the answer at me. So let's make sure the power input jack is lined up. It sure is. Audio jack lined up, of course. Okay, so we're good to just take this all the way then. No. So yeah, theoretically, you could like make your own custom faceplate for this, or just customize the one we're given. That would be cool. Okay, so this screw is just absolutely refusing to go in. I think that will be fine. We're just gonna leave that. So it's just gonna stick out a little bit and hopefully that will be okay. Other than that, this seems on pretty securely. So let's move on. So this is your audio jack. Up next, it wants me to test that the power works using the included power supply. Ta-da! Excellent. Up next, place the 13 button caps on the keyboard buttons. The hilariously tiny keyboard buttons. You thought the pocket operators were small? You thought the keys on the Roland Boutique stuff was small? Oh, it clicks quite satisfyingly. Also, you have no idea how tempted I am just to leave it in this state, like with all of its bits and bobs exposed. I'm not going to. I'm gonna go through the full process, but this looks really neat with all of the PCB showing. These feel terrible to play, but the clicking noises are satisfying. All right, top panel. Bye-bye, PCB. So that looks like that should just go right on there, regardless of that one screw that's popping out. So we got that going for us. That's where these black pointy screws come in, which are also hilariously tiny. Tightening these screws may require a little extra effort the first time. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, it's a little uneven. Why is it a little uneven?
Later that same evening.
Okay, so this might be hard to see on camera, but here are the keys sticking out, and this is like not fully lining up. I'm trying to like shift it around to get it to properly line up, and it doesn't want to, which is a little bit worrying. Like there's a little gap here, so I'm gonna take the screw out.
2 hours later.
Something's weird here. Either that or I'm like totally misunderstanding how this is meant to go, which is fully possible. I won't rule that out. But like these keys don't want to push through all the way. Like something's a little misaligned, and that's got me a little nervous.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Okay, so see how this is sticking out? That's why I'm having trouble screwing this in, I think, because this wants to like stick out. I think the keys are meant to be flush with the top of this, like this.
1 eternity later.
I was impressed with the build quality until now. Like I feel like I need to push this way somehow. All right, I'm like pressing it against my body here. That's definitely pressing against one of the buttons. Oh, that's promising. That was a good sound. Yeah! All right, I'm sure there's an excellent reason why not to make these screw holes a little bigger, but I don't know what that is. Let's see if I can tighten this then. That might be difficult. That's totally crooked. But I can't not make it crooked. It refuses. It hates me.
Curse it and crush it! We hate it forever!
Probably need a bigger screwdriver. All right, that sucked, but I got it. I ended up using that bigger screwdriver that you saw and just like pressing into it as hard as I could. And here is the assembled synth with one final step, which is a nice little touch. Built by. And that goes here on the back. That's a nice little touch. It was at this point that I realized I had goofed, because I had failed to put this on. And I was kind of anticipating just patching with the tiny little patch bay, but in order to control this with any external device, which is something I definitely want to do because just playing this by itself would be fairly useless for my own purposes. In order to do that, you have to send CV into it, and you're going to do that via these inputs. So that means I'm going to have to unscrew these screws again and go through all of that agony again. But once I've done that, I'll be able to control it with one of the very few, if not the only CV-enabled device that I own. All right, I've set up my MPC-1 to control the Werkstatt. Here's how that works, because it took me a bit of time to figure out, because this is my first time sequencing anything CV related. I've got the CV 1 and 2 outputs sent to 2 inputs on the Moog Synth, the VCO EXP FM in, and gate in. And those are controlling the note and whether the gate opens, actually triggering a note. And you'll hear that little spring reverb on there because I've added that on the corresponding audio track, but I'll get to that in a second. So on the MPC, I've got the CV track type selected, and then I've got my CV ports set to correspond to these cables, and then that just works. And then on audio, I've made sure to go in, arm it for recording, set the monitoring to in so I can actually hear it, and then I've added these effects. So let me turn these off. That way I can duck it to the kick and add a little bit of reverb, and I could process this further if I wanted to, and I could actually go in and record stuff. If I select this option right here and hit record at the bottom here, not overdub, record, and then do play start, it captures that loop, and then I can load that loop into another track. So in this case, I have already gone in. Let me just unmute this. You can hear it keeps playing because I've had it just set to toggle on and play the entire thing. But I could start layering tracks if I wanted to. Regardless, let's start playing around with this. And let me actually go ahead and mute this, mute my drums, and get rid of the effects for now. That way we can use this sequenced bass line to test out different parameters of the synth. So first of all, right now I've got the set to pulse. See, that's mad thick. Also note, I've just got the frequency turned all the way down. That way everything will just be consistent, and then I'll move stuff up and down by octaves in the actual sequencer on the MPC if I ever want to change the pitch that this whole sequence is at. Here's a saw. Let's raise the cutoff. Raise the resonance. Very nice. One interesting behavior to note, if I turn this mode from EG, which is the envelope generator, to on, you can see it's just holding down a note just passively. It'll snap into place, and then when you stop it, it'll just kind of keep going. Not really desirable behavior for a jam, for instance. So I've just changed the filter mod from EG to LFO. Some interesting FME stuff here. Let me change this back to EG for now. So this is reversed. I'm a big fan of this pluck though. That's the main attraction in my mind. Turn up the decay. So from here we can mess with the VCO mod as well. This is fun. Let's go pulse wave modulation. Turn up the amount. So we got its evolving sound. It's almost a little Reese-like in nature. Once again, a little FME. Let's drop the glide. I wonder if two notes have to actually intersect for that to work. Oh, what have I done? So you can see you can go pretty crazy with this pretty quickly. I'm trying to get some pulse width modulation with the envelope. Gives a nice little defined attack. Too much. All right, so that's pretty fun. It's fairly simple, fairly limited. That's totally fine. I went into it expecting that, but it sounds thick. It's got the controls where it counts, and I could definitely see building up a track pretty well, just layering a bunch of instances of this. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see me assemble the Rhythmo beatbox, you can click or tap up over here. That's a MIDI controller. And if you'd like to see a less expensive, also analog, non-self-assembly synth, you can click or tap down over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit.